Thank you, Sabu, for introducing me. And I'm probably saying things which are far better than what I really am. So, I would start by saying that when we talk about technology today, we must understand that technology has always impacted society, both positively and negatively. It's not that technological developments are always nice, good, have no dislocations, and only improve society. Yes, obviously, development of society is intimately connected to development of technology and also intimately connected to our knowledge of nature, without which we cannot advance technology itself. Knowledge is the basic component which leads to development of our understanding of nature, but also our control over nature, which is what technology fundamentally also is. So yes, technology is what makes it possible for us to feed today 1.3 billion people in India. It's not possible, for instance, to think about without major agricultural developments that we would be able to feed so many people. It's impossible to think about providing a life today without electricity, without transport, railways, without the telecommunication system we have built. All of it have changed society in fundamentally dramatic ways. But also, it has created huge inequalities. It has created some people who are so rich that today about 5 to 8 families own half the wealth of this world. So it's a huge unequal world also that has been created. We are seeing wars continuously. We have every day a war somewhere else, somewhere taking place, which is destroying people. Right now, perhaps the most brutal war we know in Yemen, which has left 20 million people on the brink of starvation and has probably killed more than 100,000 young children. And this is really a small number compared to the huge threat it has for other people. This is supported by the United States, the United Kingdom, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates being the key, shall we say, ones who are attacking Yemen. But let's not forget, this is only one war. There are also other wars which are continuously now taking place, displacing millions of people and basically bringing them to close to starvation, if not death. So this is the second part of what we see. And third, today, we see in India, for instance, and we are not alone, we see what is called fake news. And this is interesting because there has always been the destructive impact in society of what are called rumors. I know that in every riot, for instance, and I was a small child at the time, say in 50s or early 60s, of course 60s I was probably in secondary school, early 60s, riots meant rumors and rumors meant violence. That was the nature of what we used to see. But today, the ability of modern quote-unquote digital communication, of which the cell phone is of course the key instrument, has meant that we have violence at a distributed level. That means violent incidents from Bulandshahr, Noida, as in Akhlaq's lynching, to Raigar's brutal killing of a migrant laborer in Rajasthan, all of these seem to be invading our digital space. And you have this continuous invasion of violence, violent images, as well as fake news, claiming an incident which took place in Pakistan to be an incident which has taken place in Muzaffarnagar and creating communal violence. So this is the part that we have to confront today. How do these platforms through which we communicate continuously, how has it made it possible to bring about not only a much closer world? We can talk to distant relations. I know families whose children have gone abroad. They talk to them through Skype, through WhatsApp, phone calls. They see each other. So yes, of course, it's brought a huge, shall we say, bridging of distances, that you can talk across continents. You can talk at any point of time. Reduction of the cost of communication. You may not remember, if we had to make what we used to call trunk call in the 60s or 70s, you might have to wait for 3 hours, 4 hours before the call materialized. And the call was not from your phone. You're probably sitting in somebody else's house who had a phone. Now those from that time, it's very difficult for young children today who probably have a cell phone right at the age of 10 years or 12 years to think how much the communication has changed. But it has, for us, introduced a major threat to what I will call social amity, people living together, our democracy, our understanding that everybody has certain rights, and we as Indians can speak any language, eat any food we want, we can worship any way we want, and if you are like me, not worship at all. All of these is guaranteed out of the national movement as a part of what is called our secular constitution. Today, the kind of hatred and violence which we see around us, amplified, and let's understand one thing, technology amplifies, makes it bigger, what is good as well as what is bad. So it is not that it is something which is only bad. This is what makes it possible for us to talk to so many people. This is what makes it possible for us to communicate to so many people, but at the same time, it also makes it possible to spread hatred and violence in our society. This is the threat today the digital platforms also bring, because unlike other instruments of communication earlier, which was newspapers, radio, television, you could control what was being done because the government had instituted certain bodies which were supposed to see that the rules framed in our constitution of equality, not spreading hatred, all of this would be then observed by these what I will call these communication platforms, which could be newspapers, television or radio. Today, what happens is, who controls the hatred that is being spread through Facebook and WhatsApp? This is the challenge that we have. We are essentially asking that Facebook should control this. But that's not the task of the monopoly capitalist, because he is interested in making money. The more fake news there is, more what is called virality, the more it travels. And more it travels, the more money he makes. Therefore, whatever he is going to say, it is not in the interest of a Facebook or a Twitter or of YouTube to actually monitor it in the interest of the people. In any case, who are they to decide what is right and what is wrong in our country? That is something which we have to do. So how do you confront these platforms today is a key challenge for democracy, because otherwise what we see is hatred being multiplied, magnified many times by these kind of digital platforms which are not accountable to the people. Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, our IT minister, said once, Mr. Zuckerberg, please listen. He better listen. This is the IT minister speaking. He should come and tell us what did happen to Facebook data when Cambridge Analytica scandal erupted and it was found a huge number of Indian Facebook accounts were also available to Cambridge Analytica, and both BJP and parts of the Congress also used it in their election campaigns. Mr. Zuckerberg didn't reply. He actually didn't reply. He listened, maybe he listened to Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, but he didn't come to explain what was Facebook doing in India. Nor did he come to United Kingdom. In front of the US Congress, because that's his home country, he said, okay, we will stop all of this and will ensure that data of friends, which is what Cambridge Analytica used, will not be compromised anymore. Point is, now we know that that has also been compromised. What he did was he lied to the US Congress. There are now confidential documents which are public, which show that yes, if you pay money to Facebook, remember, they are capitalists. If you pay money to Facebook, you can get different levels of access in Facebook as business. And this is exactly what the threat again to our democracy is. It is not simply the question of violence and hatred. It's also the question of how money can be used in a different way today. Because what happens is, let's take for example, that I know who you are. That means I know you're in Palakkad. I know that maybe you're a woman, maybe you're of a certain age, maybe I think in Sabrimala you would be more receptive to the BJP propaganda, then I will send you Sabrimala issue on your Facebook or your WhatsApp. If you are somebody else of a different community, then I will send you a different message saying, you know, this left government, they actually are not doing anything, for instance, for ABCD issues. I don't discuss Sabrimala there at all. So it's possible to give what is called targeted messaging the same way Amazon gives us targeted messages when you want to buy things. Let's not forget, as far as advertisers are concerned, whether it is election or it is selling you something, it's the same thing. You have to sell a candidate, you have to sell a political party, or you have to sell a camera, or you have to sell something else. It's just selling. And they know that micro-targeting of people based on who they are makes it much more effective to sell. And that is only a 3 to 5% tilt in the election, which can be done, which therefore determines the fate of elections, because 5% in what's called the first past the post system is a huge swing in terms of seats. And that's the threat that we have today. And here becomes the last point which I want to leave you with, is the issue of money. What happens is, if digital platforms can swing elections, digital platforms need to be fed. What do they feed on? They feed on money. So therefore, the more money you give them, the more effective your campaign is, because they give you more access to the people, they give you longer access to the people, and they can also, if you pay them enough, to see the other side is not able to propagate its views. It will see that their ads, even if they push those ads, take much longer to get through what is called Facebook approval process, and by the time the issue is over, they have had a free reign of what they want to say for say 24 hours. I'm saying this not because of a theoretical exercise. I run something called newsclick.in, and we routinely see anything critical of Mr. Modi or the government doesn't get propagated, and it cannot be promoted on Facebook till at least 24 to 36 hours. So we seem to see there are Facebook algorithms which work on who is powerful or who has money. And with election bonds at the moment, by which all black money which used to go in for election has now been made white. Why? Mr. Jaitley has said you can put any amount of money in elections by buying what are called election bonds, and then it becomes completely anonymous, and then that money can go to any political party you want. Nobody will know where the money has come from, to whom it has gone, which means that political party which has that money then can spend on digital platforms, and then thereby distort the election, thereby create a 3 to 5% swing, which means a huge change in the elections. And this is the money game with the digital platform, which is the threat to democracy. Yes, Facebook, Google and others are today under the scanner. European Union, United States, as well as we would like certain steps to be taken by such digital platforms in disclosing where are they getting money from, who is giving the money for ads, which messages are being promoted through money, which messages are just people putting up messages. These are the kind of questions we need to make public, we need to make open, we need to make these platforms obey the democratic rules of India, and we need the Election Commission to focus on that. Today it's not just loudspeakers and what we write on the walls, wall writing, which they regulate, but they have to regulate the electronic walls by which we are surrounded, the digital platforms which surround us, without which the sanctity of our democracy, the sanctity of our electoral process is in danger. This is what we are meeting for. This is what we would like to participate with all of you, and we hope that we can preserve India's democracy the way it was framed to be, secular, democratic India. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. അടുത്തതായി